Hey Villa fam, you're back with two village girls for another eventful week of honest conversations. Today we're here to tell you about baby proofing. So first we're going to start talking about what things you can do before the baby to start preparing for the baby.
Basically, when preparing for the baby, the most important thing is the mom. It's all about the mom and making sure she's okay and she has everything she needs to have a healthy pregnancy. That starts with just having a healthy environment to grow and develop in, because motherhood, as we all have heard, is a difficult process. Pregnancy is a difficult process.
Mm-hmm.
So starting with that healthy environment, making sure it's smoke-free, there's no fall hazards, tripping hazards, that kind of thing.
We are the village, so I guess I have to talk about, the support system. So having a good support system during the pregnancy so that the mom can have as stress-free pregnancy as much as possible. Yeah, it's just important for the mom to be in a healthy environment and just healthy in general, like in a mental standpoint and in a physical standpoint for the baby.
Other things you can do to help the best way to help the mom, honestly, is to ask the mom to be what she needs, what she feels like she's lacking at the moment. Basically building that bond with her and letting her know that you're there for her and the baby, and making her as comfortable as possible, and building a safe space for her and the baby for when the baby does come. So now
we're gonna talk about a few things that you can do once the baby is here and you can finally move around more independently. So one thing you can do around your house to make it a little more safer for the baby is, just in general, you need to make sure there's carbon monoxide and smoke detectors all around the house. And also as well as fire extinguishers just in case of any emergencies. Also have first aid kits available for any emergencies as well.
Especially the baby first aid kits. Those are first aid kits in general are great, but having baby specific first aid kits are a thing. And they're especially necessary because they have smaller tools and things that babies would need more than adults.
Yeah, and also I know a lot of moms probably could use different cameras, have baby cameras set up so that they can, if they leave the room, they can have they can still always be watching the baby if they need to leave out to go to the bathroom, leave out to do anything else.
True. And what's your stance on the little heart monitors? I've seen in more recent years moms are using little heart monitors that they can either use some medical tape to attach to the baby's foot, or maybe a little elastic, soft elastic or cloth sock of some sort to put little heart monitors on the baby. What about those?
Well, actually, I haven't even heard about that, but I think that would be actually a way to just keep track of, the baby's health.
Absolutely. I think they're a neat trick for those worrying moms, first time moms even.
Yeah.
To just kind of the camera is one thing to see the baby, but the cameras can't tell you exactly when your baby's breathing, or maybe if your baby's in a prone position where they can't breathe on their own, they roll themselves over or anything like that. Anything is possible. So maybe that heart monitor brings peace of mind, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tool to have too.
Yeah. It is also, best recommended that the baby is, sleeping in their own bed, like their own bassinet or, their own crib, and making sure that there's nothing in the crib that could, possibly, harm the baby in any way. So you have to make sure all the cribs are safe and the bassinet is all safe and everything is put together correctly.
Yeah, I think it's especially tricky to have that kind of conversation, because putting simple things in the baby's crib or in the baby's bassinet can cause harm to the baby too. We think it's cute for babies to sleep with stuffed animals, and we have these cute blankets that family members make, but just making sure the blankets are not in a way, or the stuffed animals are not in a way that can cover the baby's face or accidentally fall over on the baby.
Yeah.
And cause pressure on their body, which might slow or stop their breathing. even temporarily block their airways. We want to make sure that the safety in the crib is completely like it's just the baby and the bare necessities to keep them warm and comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, once your baby starts moving around, that's a different story.
You have to do a little bit more preparing just so that the babies won't get into everything.
Everything, and they will try. So yeah, some of the things that we need to start with when your baby starts moving is putting like non-slip mats under rugs and like in the bathtub for when they are able to sit up on their own during like bubble baths.
Okay, yeah.
Like like the little sticky ducks
Mhm.
to cause grip. That way they're not slipping and falling.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And the non-slip mats, actually, they go under the rug. So that way when they're moving around on the rug, they're not slipping around. And also, if you're carrying the baby, you're not slipping around and possibly falling.
Yeah. Also, just some general things like making sure all the plugs are covered so that the baby, won't be able to touch it or anything. Making sure there's fixing any peel paint on the walls because of lead paint, and we, want to be just careful with that in general with children.
Absolutely.
Making sure like cords and stuff are put up and out of way of children, like curtain cords, just cords to your TVs and stuff, making sure they can't pull it to be able to pull it down.
That's a big one. I didn't even consider the fact that they could pull down the TV. I was thinking like cords and stuff that like pulling on the curtains and like wrapping the curtains around their neck, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's a good point. Like they like pulling the TV down onto them. That's dangerous too.
Yeah.
Making sure you like cover your cords up, mount them somehow.
Yeah, and like have things that basically have anything that you don't want your child to get into, not at a child's level, have it way up high somewhere so that they cannot get into it. Some babies, try to pull themselves up on things at a certain age sometimes. So you got to be careful with that a little bit too.
Absolutely. Including safety bumpers on sharp corners or on tables and counters to make sure that your baby that's moving isn't bumping into anything, bumping their head. That's important because they move fast. So
They sometimes they try to get away from you, so they'll try to run, move fast. They just don't see it.
absolutely. And then there's the latches that you can put inside drawers. That way you can open them specifically from your angle, but a baby from just like the pulling side of it, they can't pull it open by themselves. And there's been many like debates on whether these actually work and what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So Villa fam, let us know what you guys have tried, what you haven't tried, of any of the things that we've talked about actually, what worked for you, what you'd recommend. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely, because like we're here to help you guys, but we also are definitely still learning too.
Absolutely. Another thing is attaching all large furniture such as dressers, bookshelves, those kinds of things to walls to prevent them from tipping. Children tend to like stand in drawers or climb on shelves, and their body weight could be the difference between the shelf standing upright and the shelf tipping over towards them. So there are these little things that actually come with drawers. I got a dresser drawer myself once, and they come with a little kit to the drawer onto the wall.
Okay.
Like the base itself onto the wall, and you can like zip tie it on there so that way the top half of it is like pressed smack against the wall.
Yeah. Right.
To help prevent, they might loosen over time, but at least while they're younger, it'll help prevent them from like being crushed under the drawers, dressers, shelves, books, anything.
Absolutely. Also, I know a lot of my friends who have kids, or my family members who have kids, they use like baby gates, put up gates to rooms, like to the kitchen if you don't want the baby to be the kids to be in the kitchen, or from going down the steps or going up the steps. So baby gates are definitely helpful too.
Absolutely. So there were a few like I wanted to touch on some like myths of baby proofing, because there are a few that, I mean, we kind of touched on some of them by like talking about the different ways to protect the baby, but there were a few that I really thought was interesting. Like my child Some people say my child will listen when I say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we talked about that in last week's episode with milestones and how there's a time in a toddler's life where they go through defiance as they're developing.
Mm-hmm.
So believing that your child will listen when you say no can be hard sometimes because they have a mind of their own.
Yeah. And sometimes, honestly, no is all that baby could be saying. Like, they probably haven't even developed a different response yet.
Oh, for sure. So telling your child no to, like, don't touch the hot stove, that may work, that may not always work. That's one of the myths of baby proofing is that do you really want to rely on just that?
Yeah,
Is
so
the question.
just need added coverage just to be extra safe.
Absolutely. The other thing was my child will never be unattended, therefore I don't need to childproof. Life happens. I'm assuming that's why this is a myth. It's because life happens. Things happen. We go with the flow, we roll with the punches, but there are just times where we lay the child down because they're doing tummy time or they're napping and we don't hear them wake up. So the myth that my child will never be unattended, therefore I don't need to childproof. Life happens. You know, there might be a moment where we just need to grab something really quick in the other room while your child is laying on the floor on one of their like baby mats, just hanging out with their toys. And your child could just easily get up and like crawl over to something and bump their head. And even though it may be like a minor like step out of the room for a second, like anything can happen. So having the extra safety net just to kind of protect for those unexpected moments could definitely help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so the last one we wanted to talk about was my child is fully safe because I installed childproof products. And we want to say this because it's just not all on the products that you use. Like, you have to definitely be still attentive at all times. You definitely have to
Be cautious.
Yeah.
The items are there for added protection, but the safest thing we can do is just be attentive and cautious with our children.
Yeah.
Because as many products are out there, not every product works for every family. So knowing your household, knowing your child, knowing your expectations for where every room is, where your child is given a moment's notice, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just want to say, like, don't just rely on the product itself. Like, you have to be everything is included in making sure that the child is safe.
Absolutely. With that being said, thanks, VillaFam, for tuning in again to another episode with Two Village Girls. Join us every Wednesday for new episodes. If you guys want to learn more information about milestones, check out our blog page where we will be posting every Wednesday and Saturday. Please follow us on all our social medias, which will be listed in the description box below. As always, we want to send you out with some positive vibes to get you through the rest of the week. This week's inspirational quote is by Nelson Mandela, who says, "Let us reach out to the children. Let us do whatever we can to support their fight to rise above their pain and suffering." Thanks, VillaFam. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.